Have you ever seen an actual bat eat a banana? It's the cutest thing ever.
What, Bizzle?
No, an actual bat, not a bat.
Like the animal,
a little creature, a little vampire bat. When they eat a banana, it's the cutest thing because they've got these massive mouths, but they look like little monkeys, and they're like,
oh man,
it's so cute. Afterwards, watch.
I am
Bat
watching
eats
it.
Banana.
Bat eats banana. When Bat eats a banana.
Also, watch when Mark Bat eats a banana. It's equally as cute.
Hello, you are listening to Off Radar, It's a Movie podcast. I'm James Smith, a professional film and video editor.
I'm James Eatock, a freelance writer and illustrator specialising in 1980s cartoons.
And I'm Neil Brock, aka Nige, the man with two names, former film journalist and currently working in the games industry.
Each week, one of us picks a movie that all three of us either haven't seen in many years or in some cases haven't seen at all.
We each watch the chosen movie, return to the microphone and let you all know exactly what we thought of it.
I'd never really had any interest in watching it and I was proved absolutely right.
I think it's amazing. I really, really love this film.
The film's still a pile of steaming dog shit.
If you fancy joining in and suggesting a movie for us to watch, why not tweet us at OffRadarPodcast
or email us on offradarpod@gmail.com.
If you like what you hear, please subscribe, share, and by all means, leave a review.
For now, strap in, turn the volume up, and let's go Off Radar. Hello.
Hello. Oh, we started.
We have started.
Hello, my little muckers.
Hello. We've gone all Cockney. Welcome back to Off Radar. I am James Smith and joined by James Eatock.
Hello.
And Neil Brock.
Hello. It didn't really work. I was trying to be like meow. Like
I see.
But yeah.
You should have done like hello.
Oh, that's good.
That's good.
That's better.
What a dick.
Take that, Nige.
That's called upstaging.
Put that in your tailpipe. Oh, speaking of tailpipes.
Oh, I see what you've done there. You've tried to have sex with a car again.
Again?
You know too much.
That's what they do in Norfolk, stroke Suffolk.
Norfolk.
Don't tell our listeners where he lives. They'll be like searching the hills for it.
They'll be driving up the roads to find.
They'll be drive.
They'll be cycling. That doesn't work. Welcome to our episode.
Looking for the house that looks like Castle Grayskull. So I think that's
that is probably where Eatock lives, isn't it?
Oh God, what a nightmare.
Eatock is wearing fluffy pants right now and got his top off and got a sword in his hand.
It's not a sword.
It's not a sword. Anyway, welcome back to Off Radar. Today we're talking about an episode called Drive, which came out in 2011. A film I kind of recommended. Well, I did recommend for the podcast. It kind of popped up on my radar, and I just thought I haven't seen that in a while.
It was off your radar. And then it was on your radar. See what you've done there?
It did.
I don't get it.
No,
I don't.
I don't.
I don't get it, and I said it. So.
He said it.
First up, seen this one before, Nige?
Yes, I had. I reckon not too long after it came out, I saw it. So maybe like 2012, 2013, something like that. Don't think I'd seen Ryan Gosling in anything before it. Maybe.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I meant to look that up. I was going to say, was this his kind of breakout role?
I don't think so. I think he'd done a few, like he did like Half Nelson back in 2006. I think that was his breakout when he played like the teacher who's addicted to like heroin or something like that.
Oh wow!
He was like in The Believer way back in 2001, playing like a neo-Nazi. I remember having that on DVD for years and just never getting around to watching it. Eventually, I did. I was like, oh, this is really good. And he did like
Blue Valentine, which came out before it, but I think I saw that after Drive, which is a really hard watch, but a very, very good film.
And Lars and the Real Girl as well, which I think he got nominated for like an Academy Award for. So he'd done a few things, and I think so anyway, sorry, I was just saying. So it was one of the first films I remember seeing him in, though, and obviously, it was. He's gone on to be such a recognised face in Hollywood. So yeah.
But you saw it around that time. I take it you've seen this as well?
Yeah, kind of. I was a bit, I wouldn't say late to the game. Probably about 2 or 3 years later I saw it after it came out in 2011. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw it, I reckon about 2013 I saw it. And I was gonna give my opinion on the movie. And I was like, not yet. But I've got Nige.
Well, yeah, I was going to say that. So for me, I watched this film back then, and I don't think I've seen it since. Obviously, until I watched it again for this pod. And also, one thing that I do really remember about this film is the soundtrack and a couple of the songs specifically, because I put them on playlists and stuff like that. But I remember not long after I'd seen it. Oh no, in fact, just before I'd seen this film. I was kind of with my now wife at the time. We hadn't been together for that long, and she was living in a shared house somewhere in like central London. It was like this really gorgeous, like massive, like townhouse that was owned by some like wealthy old lady who just charged like peanuts for rent. And Helen managed to get into this place with like a few strangers, and went to this party at this place, and there was loads of people there. It was a crazy party. It was kind of like, it went on stupidly late, and Helen and I were knackered, so we went to bed at like, I don't know, like 3 a.m. and the party was still going strong. Wow. And at one point, one of her flatmates, completely off their face on like coke, just walked into the bedroom, turned on the light, and was like, "Have you seen my mate, Big Dave?" kind of thing. And we were just like, "What the fuck is going on?" And then at 5 a.m., she put one of the songs from Drive on, so unbelievably loud, like continuously, like just on repeat for like an hour. And then I think at like 6 a.m., someone put a rape alarm through the door because they were so pissed off with the party being so crazy all night. So I really and everyone else was like passed out. I had to go down and like try and dismantle this rape alarm. In the end, I just had to like stuff it under a sofa and try and drown it out until the batteries ran out. God. But and they put a note through the door as well saying you're a bunch of like inconsiderate cunts or something like that. And I was like, I had to try and sleep in this house while these inconsiderate cunts were playing music unbelievably loud. But that song is intrinsically linked, and it's the song.
And is it the one in the title song? There's something inside me. That's probably not very good rendition.
It's like the most famous song from this film, but I can't. How do I describe it?
I mean, the soundtrack is, we'll get to
exceptionally good. I would
it's
say,
so good, but there's plenty of artists that actually play on the soundtrack.
It's A Real Hero by Electric Youth. So there you go.
Yes. Nice. I mean, I saw it in not a dramatic way at all, or listened to the soundtrack in a dramatic way. I probably saw it like similar to Etok, not like 2-3 years later. But I do remember all the hype about it. It kind of like built up quite a lot of momentum. This film, it kind of came out the cinema, and then more and more people started seeing it and talked about it, and it almost felt like it didn't really get going until it was almost on like, I don't know, Blu-ray or DVD, didn't it? And then it kind of picked up even more momentum. At least it felt like at the time. So I saw.
Some might say, Smith, you were driven to watch it.
I was driven to watch it.
I don't get it.
No,
but
I don't get that either.
But I have seen it a couple of times. I've seen it, but not for a long time. And the film,
I would say prior to rewatching, not prior to rewatching this, the way I rewatched this was on this unique location called YouTube. The whole film is on YouTube.
Is it?
Like legally, apparently.
But you
just
you
on
have
YouTube.
to buy it, right?
No. Apparently.
Well, no,
it's doing a lot of the heavy lifting there, I think.
How is it on YouTube for free?
It's big. I don't know. The company hosting it must have like some sort of license, but it's right. It's right there. I'll find the link for you and send it to you. But I was like, because Smith, like, if you were to upload a movie that's like, if I upload a clip from He-Man, it gets copyright struck.
Yeah.
But like copyright struck in the sense of, if I upload a 1 minute clip, it's like, oh, we're cool with that. If I upload a 2 minute clip, it thinks he's trying to make money and try and upload an episode or something. So to not upload an entire movie and upload an entire movie owned by, I don't know who the corporation or the copyright is owned by, but methinks they would have an eye out for this kind of thing, and it would be automated these days with AI would flag it up instantly, so it's on there. So it must be illegal. It must be a license thing, legal thing.
Maybe.
It's really interesting, because obviously this film's about crime and Etok's going to jail, so...
I'm going to jail because someone uploaded something on YouTube legally.
There you go. You can also watch it on Amazon Prime, which is where I watched it. But yeah. And as you say, in fact, before we get there, worth pointing out this was based on a book which came out in 2005.
Yeah, that surprised me.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was like a book.
It feels like... How is this a book? But
it'd be a very, very short book.
Yeah, a bloke drives, kills some people.
Minimal dialogue.
Yeah.
Well, that was basically the original script. Oh, jumping straight into a bit of Nige trivia, I suppose.
Nige trivia early?
Wow, it's not, but it's kind of is. So originally there was a lot more lines for Gosling,
character.
But well, he's called the driver, and like so he's occasionally called like Kid, and I think even in the credits he's referred to as the driver.
I was going to say he doesn't have a name.
He's the driver.
Yeah. So and like especially with the scenes between himself and Irene, sort of the love interest, I suppose. They like Ryan Gosling, and we've not really introduced her yet, but Carey Mulligan felt their scenes should be more focused on the mood, and they just basically refused to say many of the lines, and they just. She after she filmed this, she basically said making the film was just her staring longingly at Ryan Gosling for hours every day, which I think isn't a bad role for people who are that way inclined. So yeah, I think he only speaks 116 lines, 891 words throughout the film, and they cut obviously quite a lot out. So.
But in the book there were a lot then, so it has been adapted for the screenplay. Okay. So is that what you're saying, Nige?
Well, this is the thing. So, like I read, and I'll save this for later, that the original script was completely different, especially the second half of the film. So I'm even less sure there's definitely a book, or maybe they just used the framework of it. I mean, there's a lot of like say short stories that have been turned into longer films. Like they did it with quite a lot of Stephen King films, for instance. So, but yeah, I didn't even clock that there was a book. So I'm coming at this with little knowledge, I'm afraid.
Oh. There you go.
Let's get into the cast, Smith.
Yes, directed, first of all, by Nicolas Winding Refn, who is a Danish director. I've not really heard of him, but he did do a couple of films you'll recognise. Bronson is probably...
Oh, he did Bronson?
Yeah, probably his biggest sort of one from overseas. He did a number of kind of Danish films before that. He's worked with...
Go on, Smith. Tell me what the title
Mads
of one of the
Mikkelsen.
Tell me the title of one of the Danish films, Smith.
Pusher.
Oh, that's cheeky.
Valhalla Rising,
which is three Pusher films, which I'd never heard of, but there's three of them.
Yeah, most of his films are like one word as well, so it makes it even easier for Smith to
not done a lot of films.
It's been like a really complicated Danish phrase, like. I can't think of any Danish words.
Yeah, Valhalla Rising with Mads Mikkelsen is probably and then Drive came after that. But he did a film which I've never seen called Only God Forgives in 2013.
Yeah, Gosling's in that as well. Yeah,
that was like a big deal, and I think it bombed.
But if you look at the poster, it's all very like Drive. It's like
it's like noir, neon, that kind of combination.
Like it'd be one of those where it's almost like, what do they call it? The something sequel. It's not a sequel, but it would be like the it's not. I'm not saying it's even remotely connected, but it's one of those where it's like, this film has got the same kind of main lead, main director, main style, kind of very stylish. I think again he has very limited dialogue in it, so it's almost like they were trying to repeat the success of Drive. But from what I understand, I remember I'm sure I've seen bits of it.
It didn't bomb per se. It cost like almost $5 million to make and made double that. So it's not it was horrendous. Yeah. But it was screened at Cannes, and half the people there like booed, like the journalists were booing it, and then the other half were like giving it a standing ovation. And like The Guardian, it was one of their top 50 films of the 2010s. So I think it's clearly a Marmite type film. So.
And working with another British actress again in that, Kristen Scott Thomas.
Oh wow, Kristen Scott Thomas!
I had no idea Carey Mulligan was British. I was always like, she's American.
I remember you say that on the Promising Young Woman.
Yeah, Promising Young Woman.
Yeah. So again, I'd forgotten that because I watched in a film the other day that she's just done.
She's very convincing. So.
Oh, she's brilliant in terms of like a brilliant actress in a lot of her films. But there's a film she did the other day. The Ballad of Wallace Island, which has Tim Key in. Do you know Tim Key, the comedian?
Yeah, the comedian,
yeah. So she's very good in that as well. And apparently she's a big fan of Tim Key. And I was like, why is this random American actress a big fan of Tim Key? And so, oh no, she's British. And I was like, I think I knew that, but I forgot. So there you go.
But we have spoke about Carey Mulligan before in Promising Young Woman. So go back, listen to that. We have also, worth pointing out, spoke about Ryan Gosling, who we spoke about in Barbie. Of course, which was. Is it
one of my favourite movies? Like definitely a top 50-40 one, which is The Nice Guys, which is him and Russell Crowe. I've talked about it. I think I talked about them one of the...
A few times.
Yeah, in the 2010s movie thing we did prior to doing this as a regular
Shane
thing.
Black, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. It's such a good movie, Nice. That's one I definitely think I'd love to watch in person with you guys because it's such a fun film. But also, like, it's really... He's great in it. He's so good. You know, kind of... I want to say kind of against type in it.
Well,
he
I
plays.
think... Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, he's. I mean, I find Gosling such a fascinating kind of actor.
He's got such
we'll get into. I suppose we can get into that a bit, but it's a presence. But also, I think he got written off because of this movie. As in, like, he doesn't say much in his roles, and he's a bit like. But it's just like, I think that's the character he's playing. That's the whole point. He's supposed to be this kind of emotionally soul torn character. Is not going to be like, well, hello, my name's the driver, you know.
I think that was a lot of the criticism, and a lot of people like looked at his role in this film and thought, he's not very good in this. He's just I saw him in this. I saw him in what was the one with Steve Carell and Emma Stone?
Crazy Stupid Love, which came out the same year. I can't believe it's completely slipped us by. We've not mentioned The Notebook as well. Like, he was in The Notebook in 2004, and that's like. I think a whole plethora of women fell in love with him, and probably men as well.
I was going to say quite a few.
Just supporting as well, just to run through these a few of the supporting cast, because it is pretty much Ryan Gosling and Carey Mulligan, but also Bryan Cranston appears in the film a number of times.
It's got such I think this cast is so strong.
It's unbelievable, yeah.
I forgot that this was the cast. I thought it was just
Oscar Isaac was in it.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
When I saw his name come up in credits, I was like... Was he in this?
Yeah,
I don't remember him being in this.
I didn't remember him being standard.
When he
I was like,
appears in the film, I didn't even realise it was him. Like,
he looks very different.
Yeah, like, because we spoke about him in Ex Machina, didn't we? And like, you look at him in that compared to this, it's like he looks like a different person.
I don't know if he's one of these actors, almost like a Christian Bale, that's really able to kind of be a chameleon visually. It's like, and the thing is with Oscar Isaac, he's got these amazing eyes, right? Really big, prominent eyes, which I've talked about on the podcast before with regards to, that's why I love Emma Stone. When you've got big eyes, you can really emote. So it must be really hard to kind of disguise that. But I've seen this film twice, and going into it, I was like, when the credit popped up Oscar Isaac, I was like, he's in this? I just couldn't remember.
No, not at all.
But looking at the cast, like, Cranston's in it. Oscar Isaac, Christina Hendricks is in it. Who everyone loves a bit of Christina Hendricks.
I guess most known probably for Mad Men.
Mad Men, killer in Mad Men.
And then Albert Brooks as well.
I can't believe, like, Albert Brooks. I thought
very much against type. And Ron Perlman, he's kind of like
he's just perfect. Whenever I see Ron Perlman, it's like I always want him to be a bad guy. It's just like, and he's so deplorable in this. It's like, although they even tried to give him like a bit of a backstory too. Like, it's just like this film really does. The funny thing is about this film, before we even kind of get into it, is you've got all these characters, right, and they're all kind of given little stories, and it's not just like, because I kept thinking to myself at times going into this, I remember that Christina Hendricks was in it, and I remember thinking like, she's completely wasted in this movie. But then you watch it and it's like, no, everyone is in this movie to hit their role. Like Oscar Isaac, prominent actor and everything, but his role in this is very small. Albert Brooks, everyone has kind of a very designated role to play, and they could be a big role or a small role, but they all kind of feel like they have the right amount of kind of screen presence. It's not like, Christina Hendricks is just written off as this character. It's like, no, she's in it prominently as for her role.
Etok, what's Drive about?
An unnamed man, played by Ryan Gosling, is an accomplished and incredibly skilled getaway driver. He has a strict set of rules when working with criminals that employ his services. Outside of his criminal activities, the driver leads a simple life, working as a stunt double and as a mechanic for his friend Shannon, who also arranges the criminal jobs that he undertakes. The driver soon meets Irene, a tenant in an apartment a few doors down from him, and soon forms a strong bond with she and her son Benicio. Standard, Irene's partner and father to Benicio, arrives home from jail, but soon runs afoul of some local criminals who have ties to his time in prison. In order to protect the lives of Irene and Benicio, the driver breaks his own strict set of rules and aids standard in a job. However, the job soon goes awry, and the driver, Irene, and Benicio find themselves in the crosshairs of some less than respectable gangsters.
If I drive for you,
You give me a time and a place. I give you a 5-minute window.
anything happens in that 5 minutes and I'm yours, no matter what. I don't sit in while you're running it down. I don't carry a gun. I drive.
So you just moved to LA?
No, I've been here for a while.
What do you do?
I drive for movies.
Is that dangerous?
It's only part-time.
You put this kid behind the wheel. There's nothing he can't do. Kid, I want you to meet Mr. Bernie Rose.
My hands are a little dirty. So am I.
Available on YouTube.
Available on YouTube. I think a good starting point for this film is, I guess, probably there's two ways we can approach it. Like
Music and credits, I think.
Yeah, I think, Ryan, well, I was going to say either Ryan Gosling or the look of, the feel of the film. But let's start with that. But yeah, like straight from the off, you get this kind of, the opening credits, it's just him driving, isn't it? I can't remember if that comes right.
There's an opening scene where he does
first,
he does the getaway kind of thing, or like.
So with that opening scene, I guess we straight off like establish that Gosling is not just a normal bloke. You know, there's something, we see like a bag of money and we see a shabby apartment. And I think what I found interesting going back and looking at this film is it's quite hard to know when it's set, like aesthetically, because of the way they stylize the film, because it feels very nostalgic through the music, through the kind of 80s stuff.
The music and the credits are 100% 80s influenced. It's so like synthwave music does have its kind of origins in
and
1980s.
The pink kind of text, but then there's hints of 70s, like, you know, with the jacket he wears, it's almost like Grease or something, the way he kind of like.
Yeah, I know what you mean. There is kind of there is a kind of
it doesn't ever place this. I know it's not set then, but what it does is it makes you have nostalgia into lots of like kind of different periods without saying this is set in the 80s or 70s or, you know, 2010s.
Well, one thing that surprised me was I read beforehand, because I went on, I think it was Wikipedia, just to look at the cast. No, this was after I'd watched the movie, looked at the cast, because I was like, I wasn't even sure. I was going back to Oscar Isaac. I was like, was that really him? And I had to look.
Yeah.
That's how convincing he was.
Yeah, definitely.
Went on Wikipedia, and you know when and I didn't read the Wikipedia article just to see Oscar Isaac was in it. That's all. But when you see an image on Wikipedia, and my eye was drawn to it, and it showed a camera, and it said this film was shot completely digitally, and I was like, wow, for a digital movie, this has a real film look.
It does, doesn't it?
I'd agree.
Because obviously, you know, as much as I love, you know, the what you can do with digital filmmaking, film is always going to rule, because it's the rawest form of filming you can get.
Yeah, and that's why a lot of directors will choose to still shoot on it, even
still
now.
Shoot on film. Like I think Tarantino famously still continues to shoot on film. And but this film, I don't know if it's just like whoever the director of photography was. That just, it has such depth to it, and I mean at times that depth visually is used to its advantage. Like I will give a shout out, not that I ever see her anymore or speak to her, but one of mine and Nige's mutual friends, this lass called Bryony, she was really big into this movie, and she illustrated like canvases of what we see in the background during a few scenes, which is when Ryan Gosling's driving at night, they create a real sense of depth by kind of blurring the background heavily. So it's almost like a celestial look about it. There's all these like weird lights of Los Angeles street lights and signs, but it's all just kind of like, you know, like red blobs and blue blobs and yellow and kind of things. So
there's a lot of kind of blue, kind of almost like it's not a tint. It's not like Terminator 2, but it feels
no. There is
like a kind of glow to it.
There is I completely understand what you're saying. But like she did these canvases that were, you know, like really, because that was kind of like when I first kind of clocked Drive was her paintings, and I was like, oh, I need to check out this movie if Brian is, you know, painting from there. So it's so the style of this film, I think, almost precedes the story of the film. When people talk about Drive, it's not like, it's this intricate plot. When you think of Pulp Fiction, you talk about the storytelling, the structure of the film. With Drive, I think a lot of it, like we said, where do we start off? And it's like, well, kind of with the visuals.
I think you have to. And I think
visuals and music, it's such a aesthetically strong visual kind of audio experience.
And after that, that opening scene, obviously we get like a traditional opening credits, which you rarely get now, and he is literally driving, and I think he has the gloves on, and there's lots of close-ups of his eyes, and a whole, I think it's like a whole music track, but that's not done anymore. Like I think we last spoke about that in one of the Indiana Jones films. Like we rarely see opening credits like we used to get. But it really sets the scene like really well, and obviously the fact that he picks up like a Chevrolet or whatever kind of adds to that. But I guess also, the look of Gosling as well, which kind of leads us on to him a little bit. He has this very stern, he doesn't emote a lot in this film, and like what you were saying earlier about his character, but you get that just through the looks of his eyes and the kind of the very neutral look, which if you ever like first study drama and acting, it's really hard to do, because most people, when they act and they do it too much. And with Gosling in this, it's knowing when not to act, if that makes sense. He's always acting, but there's a lot of you can tell that the character has like so much going on internally that he doesn't know how to kind of get that out in the open. So any scenes with like Irene, the character, I love the fact we're going to have to refer to him as Ryan Gosling, and I think less than the driver. The driver feels like almost like a discredit to.
Even though like
really
I disagree. It's like the man with no name from The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly and stuff.
Call him the man with no name.
The man with no name. The driver just sounds.
Well, again, like his mate, so he works as a mechanic. Bryan Cranston plays like his close friend, who kind of Shannon, isn't it? Who gives him a job originally, and he always calls him Kid. So we could call him Kid, perhaps as well. But
fair enough.
I like Ryan Gosling, but
I also like with some of those car scenes, like from the opening like shots, I noticed, quite often in a car scene you shoot like almost from outside the car looking in. In this,
that's a good point.
They don't.
It's a lot of interior shots.
I didn't even think about that.
You feel like you're basically in the back seat or sitting next to him, but it's shot very static. Like
one thing I loved about the opening scene, when the two criminals get in the back seat, what in so many films where there's a getaway driver, and like the police are, because in the there's so much tension in the opening scene where he's driving around, kind of like, he's got the criminals in the back, and he's got the police scanner on, so he's listening to the police radio broadcast, which is great because
it's brilliantly done.
It creates the narrative as well. You can hear like, we're looking for a silver Impaler, I think it is.
Yeah, you don't need to cut to like the police cars or the helicopter.
Exactly.
You can
we're going now.
Yeah,
that's a great point.
It's a really good point.
You just stay within the car, like as you guys said, Ryan Gosling's perspective and everything. But when the criminals get in the back of the car, they're not going like, "Hey man, what are you doing? Like, why are we not?" Because you get that in so many getaway films where you've got do you know what I was thinking of when the movie first started? And maybe it's not a fair comparison because it's a very different type of movie. But The Transporter with Jason Statham.
Oh right, yeah.
That's very different. He's a getaway driver in that, and the opening scene is, "I've got this complete set of rules." And he does have like these complete set of rules. He's like, you have to, do this, do that. There are too many people in the car. I didn't account for that. But whilst he's driving, they're all in the back going, "Whoa, hey man, what are you doing, you son of a bitch?" All that. Whereas in this, it's obviously a different kind of film, but it's just how the criminals are played. It's like, no, we're going to sit in the back and just respect that this guy knows what he's doing.
He's so composed, isn't he? Because there's even moments where he stops the car where the police are chasing him and stuff like that, and he'll just
the scene with the helicopter is great.
Yeah, and
like when that helicopter light is like, and it's just going, and then it just shines on him. You're like, Oh, he's been caught. That's so good.
Well, it's interesting. I'd say in most like kind of heist movies, the driver very rarely gets that much attention paid to them. It's always just like part of it.
Yeah.
Because I think in films since then, I watched sort of Baby Driver recently, and that's a film where again it's all about the driver. I imagine there are films, if you go back to like 60s, 70s, 80s, where there maybe was a story about the driver in this case, and yeah, it just kind of gives you a different perspective because they're not necessarily involved in the crime. They're just kind of sat there, they're waiting, they've got it's almost like Liam Neeson, they've got a very specific set of skills and so on and so forth. Yeah. But yeah, so I think it is really interesting how there's like that disconnect between him and obviously the criminals, really, and he kind of wants to keep it that way.
I never really got into the character in the sense of, I don't know what your take is, but I thought to myself, does he have that set of rules and that disconnect because he likes to think that maybe what he's doing is not wrong? But I guess as the film goes on, we see that he can be quite a brutal character. So
this is it. Like we don't really know his background, so he just showed up randomly with Shannon's place. I can't remember the exact backstory, but he gets a job sort of cheap. He obviously knows his way around a car in terms of fixing it as well as driving it. But what's he kind of running away from? What sort of trouble has he got into?
Nige, you know what? You've just by saying that, put it out into the world.
Yeah,
we've now got
the
Driver prequel coming. It's happening, Nige. You've done it,
and it's going to be the total opposite film, isn't it?
Yeah, you say that. There was a lot of talk about doing a sequel to this film. And the director kind of at first he was a bit like, maybe never say never, and then he said yes, say never, because he feels like the ending is perfect and wouldn't want to kind of sully that by doing another one.
A prequel, there you go, maybe.
Nige trivia. I didn't look it up. I noticed in the background of one of the scenes at the workshop, the car workshop. Was car workshop? What's the garage? I guess. I'm sure I saw the Dukes of Hazzard car in the background.
No way.
If there was, I don't know. I didn't see that as like a piece of trivia. Who knows?
There's like a wide shot, and like you can see like it's definitely an orange Dodge Challenger, and I'm sure I could see the 01 on the side. I was like, is that the Dukes of Hazzard car?
I mean, they're a Hollywood like stunt team, aren't they?
Yes.
So it would make sense that they'd have that kind of thing. Like, and I know that a lot of the films kind of draws inspiration on things like Taxi Driver, but the stunt driving type thing, you kind of think of like the Fall Guy from the 80s, which bizarrely Ryan Gosling went on to star in the remake of. Like, there's that element of kind of just bringing Hollywood into that
Dukes of Hazzard as well. Yeah, again, another, like, if that is the case, 70s kind of feeling show, right? So yeah. I think also it's worth pointing off, like, quite early on we meet Carey Mulligan. Ryan Gosling meets Carey Mulligan, the driver meets Carey Mulligan, who, she has a kid, and he's really intrigued with her. And it's really interesting how their kind of relationship kind of develops quite quickly, but not, again, like we said right at the beginning, through very, very little dialogue, and
it's
knowing
more. It's less is more.
But
in this film,
it really kind of works throughout, because you feel this chemistry, even though they've they don't
ridiculous
kind of build that chemistry in a traditional sense, like he would build in Barbie, which is a ridiculous comparison to make.
But very different movie.
but you know, like, dialogue is, I think it's overused sometimes in filmmaking or TV shows. I was watching a TV show the other day, and I was like, man, there's so much dialogue in this show that I'm watching, and it was like kind of writing all of that. Whereas, you know, it's see it, don't say it is the phrase when filmmaking. And I think that's one of the strengths of this film in general, but especially with their relationship. And even with the kid, he doesn't actually say that much, but he really likes Ryan Gosling's character, and Ryan Gosling likes him. And I think as an audience member, you can kind of identify with that.
Well, we obviously mentioned about the music. I really feel like the music sets the emotional tone of this film a lot of the time. Like the scene when he gets sort of really good friends with her and her son, and they go out for a drive. He drives her back from the mechanics where she's come to get her car fixed, and they go for a little drive down
the LA River.
Yeah, the LA River, and
which
the music's kind of playing there, and they've all got like smiley. Yeah, it's like the classic. I remember
there you go, Smith. It's in Greece.
It's in Greece. Yeah, I was going to say it's in Greece.
Terminator 2.
I think Chinatown as well. Perhaps
one of my favourite movies, the Gumball Rally. They have like a Ferrari AC Cobra race down the 1970s LA River, which is just like, but basically, like I think it was in the last 20 or so years, they've kind of. Because the LA River is such a weird thing, so they basically tried to make it.
I remember that episode.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah, I think it might be.
When he slides across the front of the car.
Oh, he does the roundhouse. Yeah, he's a biker, isn't he? It was in the intro.
Different one. He's like a geeky kid with the glasses in spots.
Yeah,
and they do a drag race down.
I think it's in the intro music.
But the funny thing is, I'm watching that scene. I'm thinking, oh, they're in the LA River. How cool! Because I've been to the LA River. It's quite awesome to behold. But the thing that is part of the kind of rejuvenation kind of thing is where they end up, which is this part of the LA River where it's like blossomed into like this little weird, like lakeish garden kind of thing.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see that. So yeah, and like Nige says, the music plays a pivotal role in that scene because there's no talking, there's no dialogue.
The song that is playing is by the band 1975, who literally just played at Glastonbury, actually. But yeah, they're a very retro sort of sounding band. Like, even though they're a modern band, they feel very, like I say they're a modern band. They've been about for years and years, but they've they have that kind of feel of nostalgic kind of 80s feel, I think.
Well, you say that the trick's in the name, 75.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. Did you know you can now subscribe to Off Radar It's a Movie podcast on YouTube? You can watch exclusive trailers and listen to brand new full episodes. All links and info in the description down below.
Somebody stop me!
I know it sounds silly to say, but some films just treat the visuals as very standard throughout the entire movie. This movie kind of treats each scene like a canvas, like a beautiful painting, and so when he's with Carey Mulligan in this scene, it's all very like there's lots of warm glows. It's like a almost like sunset in Los Angeles. It's oranges and yellows, and then when he discovers Standard has been beaten up, he's like it's all dark blues and like very kind of It's just it really is like a film that celebrates the visual art of filmmaking.
I think there's a lot of like concrete in this film, just because obviously that's what LA is. And as you say,
Los Angeles,
that scene when Standard especially gets beat up, the concrete's a lot darker and like it's almost like somber compared to the brightness of, say, the scene where they're driving down the LA River. So it's kind of interesting how you can make the same thing look so different, just
very much so
based on that emotional sort of vibe of the film itself. And I think this, without doubt, this is a very stylistic film. Like there's been a lot of choices made for style that aren't necessarily narrative driven, but at the same time do kind of get you wrapped up in that world, I suppose.
I would say like sometimes films make the mistake, as we've talked about probably on this podcast before, of like style over substance. I think this is a film that gets the balance completely right between style and substance. It's like the style doesn't take away from anything.
And also on the point of the music, there are, and I've said this before, there are plenty of times when there's no music and no dialogue and it's silence or driving or it's all very raw, and that also adds to it because it'd be quite easy to do what you referenced, that film Baby Driver, where it's literally just music from start to finish. Where
that is the gimmick of that movie, though.
I know it is, but it'd be very easy to almost do that in this sort of film. But it has the balance like right, I think.
Well, you speaking about balance, and obviously we've kind of mentioned the music, and we've mentioned how Ryan Gosling has so few lines in his relationship. They kind of try and counterbalance it a little bit with Shannon's character, played, as we kind of said at the start, by our man from Breaking Bad, Bryan Cranston, and he felt that his character should make up for kind of the lack of the talking in the film. And you realise he's kind of almost like a motor mouth. He's just like 100 miles an hour, always chatting. Like when Irene comes to the garage and she's getting her car fixed, he's like telling her basically the driver's life story in a very sort of quick amount of time. And actually much of his dialogue was improvised as well. Wow. So as they were kind of cutting out a lot of the Gosling lines and everything else, he was, I'll take a bit more screen time for old Cranston. But
it works.
Yeah, definitely.
I got the driver.
You just told me they had half a dozen drivers.
Not like this one. This kid is special. Been working with him for a while. I've never seen anything like it. I had the money, I'd back him myself.
Albert Brooks's character, you think like, oh, he's the kind of, yeah, he's a gangster, he's a baddie, but he's got like, there's a heart of gold in there somewhere. And there's later in the film, you're like, oh, he's just as brutal. And this film, like, we should talk about, like,
it's surprising.
I forgot
it's
about.
Brutal. It's like American History X. Like, there's head stomping, there's someone's head being blown up by a shotgun, there's wrist being slit, there's fork in the eye.
I forgot about how violent this film is. Like, from memory,
me too.
I was just like,
well, even Gosling just beats the shit out of people.
And his character
there's one
as well.
scene.
Like,
I was going to say, there's one scene in the diner where early on, because at that point we don't really know much about what here we go, what drives the driver. It's like, well, it's he's doing the crime to kind of, you know, rob Peter to pay Paul kind of thing. But what is his as Mickey would say, motivation? But then you get that scene in the diner where some bloke just walks up to him and says, "Hey, yeah, you're
that driver we used
you
before.
did the job for us, and we ended up going with another driver afterwards, and my brother got killed or whatever." And Ryan Gosling just says to him, you know, get the fuck. He uses some blue language, but it's basically like, get away from me, otherwise I'll kick your teeth down your throat, kind of thing. Blah blah blah. And the guy just goes, okay, and walks away. And you're like, there's
a hard edge to this kid.
There's a real red mist.
But it is interesting because I kind of mentioned right at the start there was like a different second half to this film as part of the first draft, and one of the elements of that was the fact that he had more scenes of basically having his problem of like losing control and having these rage attacks. I think there was a bit more about like the racing team, and at one point I can't remember if it's someone he's racing against or another stunt driver, he like manipulates and makes it so they crash, kind of thing, to almost like get his revenge because he does something wrong. So there was potentially gonna be that side to his character, and obviously for whatever reason they kind of moved away from that. I thought that's maybe not the way to go, but there's perhaps those like elements within the script that kind of make you feel like, well, not only can he handle himself, but yeah, he can fly off the handle.
I think it's really interesting when he meets Oscar Isaac's character, who plays her husband.
Standard, which is a great
name. Standard. Who, like you, I didn't recognise for like 15 minutes of the film, and then I was like, wait a minute, is that Oscar Isaac? No. But it's so awkward because like they play this almost like happy family thing, and they have almost like scenes around the dinner table where, you know, like the Standard invites him and he's like, yeah, come over, like everything's kind of normal, but really he knows that, you know, there's obviously some chemistry between them.
It's Ryan Gosling, come on, it's like,
Ryan Gosling.
Who's this sexy man in my house?
And the Oscar kid Isaac's no slouch either.
Well, true.
Because the criminals, so basically he gets beaten up by some guys who have connections to people in jail who Standard owes money to. Whilst in jail he required protection, so he's paying protection money.
But then the protection money goes up and up and up to the point that he can never actually pay it back.
No, and these guys turn up like now that he's out of jail and beat him up and say like, you owe us even more money. But the best part is like, so he goes, what are you holding there? Like the driver says to Benicio, the little kid, and he opens his hand, he's got a bullet, and you're just like, I remember watching it, like I was just like, oh man, because that's such a, and he just says like, look after this, don't lose it, is what the criminal, like the gangster told Benicio. It's just like, that's brutal, like to give a kid a bullet and say, look after, basically, you know, this will be part of you at some point. And that's the moment where you can almost see Gosling going like, right, everything that's been established about this character, this strict set of rules, he doesn't get involved with people in all this stuff, it's broken. And he's like, right, I'm going to help this guy because it betters the lives, it protects the lives of Irene and Benicio. And also I think there is a part of Gosling, even though he doesn't want, he probably doesn't want Standard to be around Irene and Benicio, that he still appreciates the fact that she's in a relationship with him. So
he's like, respectful.
Well, he's respectful. It's like, I don't care for this guy, but I don't want him to die whilst I know about it. And I also love the fact that we don't get that conversation where, how many other films would do it where the driver turns to him and says, well, I can help you out because I'm a driver and I can da-da-da-da. We don't get that. It's just suddenly he's aware of it.
Do you fancy sending us a film to review or letting us know your thoughts on a film that we have discussed? All of your comments will be read out in our end of season leaderboard episode. Email us on offradarpod@gmail.com. Tweet us at offradarpodcast. Message us on Facebook. All links and info in the description down below.
Do it! Do it!
When he realises that Christina Hendricks' character is like basically a mole.
Oh yeah, gives her a bit of...
He slaps her, and then as the audience, like, she is petrified. The look in her eyes, the acting there, because like she's not in this long, but actually she's one of the most memorable characters.
It's fantastic.
And yeah, like again, and like how when she dies, the headshot, the slow-mo headshot of that, again, so brutal and shocking, because it all slows down with the guy kind of outside the window, and
again, it's like the classic heist kind of film where they suddenly start surrounding the motel room, and you're in
like
shit,
Taxi. You mentioned Taxi Driver, right? Like, kind of like shades of that in the kind of brutality of like some of those scenes.
You see like the scalp and the hair and everything, and it's done so quick. This film also knows, we've talked about like how it uses dialogue, and it knows when and where not to use it and stuff. And it also it could easily do a Zack Snyder and do slow-mo every like fucking 20 seconds or something.
Yeah, it's true, actually.
But they use it, I think, in about 2 or 3 scenes in this movie, and every time, I mean, one coming up as well. Oh, actually, prior to that, the car chase, when he's you get this. It's not the best car chase in movie history.
No, but it's a gear change, isn't it, from all the driving before?
Oh yeah.
It's like an intense car chase, which we've not seen before. It's all very controlled, even though he's being chased by the police and stuff, whereas in this it's like much more frenetic.
I mean, he does the thing where he's, the only thing you have to suspend your disbelief is he's reversing as fast as the car is chasing. But he does so he gets to get in that position, he does a handbrake turn, but it's when he comes out of that right at the junction, and you get that shot. It's one of the shots I remember, like when I first saw the movie, I just went back and watched it numerous times. I was like, that shot is beautiful. And it's Christina Hendricks in the back seat, like kind of as the car is skidding, and she's in slow-mo, like, and her face is like one of just like almost desperation. Are they going to survive? And in the background you see that car, the villain's car, as it were, like flying through the air, crashing. I love that shot so much, because that's cinema used perfectly.
Like for me, one of the scenes that I like kind of stuck with me is this lift scene where he's in the lift with Irene, and some baddie comes in, but he knows that this baddie is there to basically take him down.
Spots his gun in his
there's
jacket.
A really amazing bit where he kind of like kisses her.
That's slow-mo as well, isn't it?
Yeah, that goes slow-mo, and the light suddenly shifts. Like it's kind of not subtle, but it's well done. Again, like a stylistic choice, but the brutality of that is the first time that she witnesses his brutality, I think.
I think the first time we witnessed that level of brutality, I mean, because we know, like,
from him in that kind of...
Well, there's like punching someone, and then there's crushing someone's skull under your foot. It's so visceral. It's like, oh my God.
It was apparently severely edited as well, because the ratings board thought it was too violent. So the original one would have been a lot more than what we see. And as you say, already what you see is
what
quite
we
shocking.
see is
and actually, getting an 18 rating these days, it actually has to be very, very violent to get an 18 rating. Whereas
that's true.
You can get 15 now, and it's still pretty violent. But yeah,
one scene we jumped over, not to go through every scene in the movie, but it's one I really like, is when Ryan Gosling goes to confront Cook, who's one of the gangsters that arranged the pawn shop robbery.
Oh, like the strip joint.
In the strip joint, and he goes to like the dressing. The dressing room is a somewhat ironic term for a strip joint. But what I love about that scene is he walks up and he's got a hammer, and and there's an it's a bird's eye view, like looking straight down. He just walks up and he grabs the guy's hand. He just like hammers his hand. It's again brutal. It's just like, but what I love about that scene is the way it's shot, with all the like these topless women. Yes, I appreciate that, but it's that none of them react.
I found that a bit. It's both good and strange. But go on, you say your bit, and I'll be interested to have a comment.
What I think they're doing with that scene, agreed, Nige. It's like, I think there is an initial bit of shock, but then I think this guy, Cook, the gangster, my theory is that he's such a piece of shit, such a scumbag, that like they're like, we don't care if he dies, to the point where it's unless they're playing it as like, oh, these strippers are almost like just nameless drones or something, but the impression I got is they just don't care for this guy. So if the driver had just executed in gangland style, they may not have even batted an eyelid. But go on, Nige.
Well, yeah, and I also feel like, I do think there's an element of that, definitely. I also feel like it's almost like they're in this world that you kind of don't get involved. You kind of need to just sit there and just be an observer rather than someone who is a interactive kind of witness, I suppose, in that sense. But it did feel quite weird, and almost, again, that kind of felt a bit stylized as well.
The fact that they didn't react at all, though, it does feel slightly odd, because you would react even if you are latent.
Yeah.
But one of the other things, the sound effects of these violent moments in the film
a lot of smashed up pineapples.
Underrated.
Oh my God.
Like when with the cut on the wrist sound effect.
That again, you want to talk about brutality? Jesus,
so brutal. But the sound sells it, right? Without that sound, you don't get that, and you often, sometimes normally you cut away, but in this we don't. We see it.
Well, they do cut
most
away,
of the time.
Otherwise, you
they
wouldn't
do
be bleeding.
cut. Yes. Oh, very good.
It's one of the things I wasn't so keen on was the idea of like how this kind of all came about. So roughly speaking, it's like Nino has arranged for the robbery to take place by this guy that they were going to kill and take the money from, so it couldn't be traced back to him, when he was actually ripping off the kind of the mafiosa because he's a Jewish boy rather than like an Italian, therefore has always been seen as an outsider, and that's how it all gets mixed up. And obviously it's just coincidental that Bernie and Nino kind of know who he is, because obviously there's this element of like wanting to sponsor the racing team because he had mangled Shannon previously, and it's all just a bit sort of far-fetched how it's kind of tied together, but it kind of makes sense for the sake of the story, but it's just a bit like, okay. Well, yeah, they basically go out to the car because he's like, "Where's the money?" He's like, "I saw my boot," and they go out to the car, and he goes to get it, and Bernie stabs him in the stomach, and you think, well, this is game over for the driver, but then the driver fights back, and you see Bernie's like silhouette.
I was going to say the way it's done, because we talk about all the like hyper violence in this film, but actually at this point where the driver gets stabbed, it's really interesting that they choose to use like shadows and silhouettes rather than like almost show all of that. And then we have him like sitting in the car with this very soft, which you talked about earlier, the soft glow of the sun, this warm light again, which actually in a lot of the other kind of violent scenes we've spoke about it being very blue and very, like kind of dark in that sense. So it's interesting that they end on this point, because obviously I think the beautiful thing about this ending is you don't actually know if he's died or not died.
I think it's beautifully done.
It's up to you if you decide that. And I did think, when he's driving away right at the end, you see Carey Mulligan, he's driving away, I did think, oh man, are they adding this, is this a scene too far? Do we need to see him drive it at all? Like him just like kind of looking there, is that enough to know if he's survived or not? So they have this almost like this extra scene of him driving to kind of...
I don't know, I like that scene because we see that this the driver, as it were, is kind of, there's a weird connection between him and the city of Los Angeles. It's almost like the two are intrinsically linked. So to see him kind of driving at night, like as we say, possibly in the afterlife, who knows? You kind of the jury's somewhat out on it. I do love it because it's almost like dreamlike. We enter the film in this kind of dream state with the music and everything, and then we end the film where he's sort of like, the hero walks off into the sunset, or this way he drives off into the night. One thing I just want to add, like we didn't talk about it, but I remember I felt very clever. Like, so I haven't seen this film, like I say, in a good while. Clever. Well, because after the lift stomping scene, right?
Yeah.
The doors close and you get that shot of him from behind wearing his scorpion jacket, and I was like, oh, I can see what they've done here. It's the classic, the scorpion, carries the frog, stings the scorpion, and, well, you shouldn't have trusted me because I'm a scorpion. I'm never going to change my ways. And it's like, oh, that's brilliant what they've done there. Right. And then at the end...
I didn't get that.
I got that from that shot. And then... But I felt very clever. I was like, oh, I'm gonna surprise the guys and tell them this. And then he says it on the phone when he's talking to Bernie. He does. Yeah, he says like Nino didn't make it to the other side of the river, and I was like, damn it! I thought I was being really clever.
There is a couple of scorpions in shots as well, as in like there's like a picture of one. There's obviously the one on his jacket. I swear there's another one, but I can't remember where it was. So,
But yeah, when I saw it on the back of his jacket after that lift scene, I was like, oh, they're doing the whole thing of like, it's in his nature. He's never going to change. It's in his nature. That's
he
who
does
he
say though. Yeah, you're right.
And it's just like, oh bollocks.
I forgot that he says that. To be fair, but
the film completely told me. Yeah. So
Nige.
That's
give us some trivia.
Bit of trivia. It's quite a lot of trivia about this film.
Oh.
So a couple of bits about the old Goslinator and obviously playing this role. So he actually, in preparation for this role, and we talked about Gosling, I think, before, like, wasn't he cast for, I can't remember what he was cast for. He was cast for another film and then sort of pulled out last minute. Oh, it was blooming Mark Wahlberg being in Etok's favourite film, Peter Jackson, The Lovely Bones. Yeah, he was cast in The Lovely Bones, but then pulled out because he thought he couldn't do it justice. Anyway, in preparation for this role, and if you want to hear what we thought of that film, go listen to the previous pod on The Lovely Bones. But Gosling actually restored the 1973 Chevy Malibu that his character uses during the film as like prep. So he got his mechanic stuff in. And you might notice the way he drives as well. He actually holds the steering wheel with the thumbs crooked over the outside rather than hooked on the more normal grip. And that's because that's how... That's the common way that stunt drivers drive cars, because obviously if they're holding the wheel and suddenly they crash out, they could break their thumbs. So it was a nice little nudge to how it was actually supposed to be done. But the director as well, Nicolas Winding Refn, actually has no interest in cars really at all. He doesn't have a driving license and has apparently failed his driving test 8 times. Wow. So nice to know that the director has obviously got that close link to driving. And when Carey Mulligan came over to America to shoot this film, she actually stayed with him, stayed in his house with like his wife and everything else. And at one point she was driving him back after a day's filming and actually got pulled over and was going to get a speeding ticket. She was like, I've been drinking too many Red Bulls. She was just tanking it. She obviously got caught up in the high octane feeling of the film and got a driving ticket. So
oh wow,
poor thing.
I was going to say it wasn't her the other day that got banned. No, that was Watson, wasn't it?
Heather Watson.
Emma Watson.
Emma Watson.
Sorry.
Emma Watson's just been banned from driving for speeding. Because she already had 9 months on her license, and it's just been banned for like nine months or something like that, or 6 months. But there you go.
Bloody Hollywood.
Sorry, there's a bit of Emma Watson trivia for you.
No, very nice. Gosling did a lot of the stunts as well after completing a stunt driving car crash course. Didn't do all the stunts, but he did a few of them. And then a bit about like the actors. So Albert Brooks, I was quite surprised. I think I said at the start, like I thought he had pretty much retired from acting.
Yeah.
Hadn't seen him in anything for a long time, and it seemed very against type in terms of the roles he normally played. But when he first met the director, he met him in character and like pinned the director up against the wall and spoke at him in a threatening manner. And he even, you might not have noticed this, but he shaved off his eyebrows for the role to make his character more emotionless, because you were saying earlier about how obviously a lot of the times actors, they can overact. Eyebrows are a big part of that. Garbage Day, for instance, the guy from Silent Night, Deadly Night 2 is a fantastic eyebrow actor, but it's the best. Took that away. So whilst Ron Perlman got the role after explaining to the director that he wanted to play a Jewish man who wants to be an Italian gangster, because that's what he is. He's a Jewish boy from New York in real life. So that's kind of why he was so keen to get the role. And in terms of this film as well, it could have been a very different. We speak about casting quite a lot. A friend of the pod, Robin Williams, was down to play the car at one point, but
the car, that makes sense.
The hairy car, but instead, so originally this film, hello. Originally this film was going to be made in 2008. And Hugh Jackman was cast as the driver.
Oh, wow.
With Neil Marshall down to direct. Now, Neil Marshall You may know from he directed The Descent and Dog Soldiers, and did the Hellboy remake, which and did Doomsday, which is one of the worst films I've ever seen. But yeah, so that could have happened, but then didn't get made. 2010, they dropped out. The studio that was originally going to do the film closed down, and then lo and behold, Gosling was cast, and for the first and maybe the only time in his career, they asked him to pick the director. And his only choice was Nicolas Winding Refn, so that's why he got the gig, so to speak. So
no way! Wow! So that normally is the wrong way round.
Well, yeah, exactly. Normally you get the director to choose the star. And then as soon as he came on the project, one of the main people he wanted to cast was Bryan Cranston, off of the back of Breaking Bad, and he knew that Bryan Cranston at that time of his career was like super hot commodity, was getting offered loads of different roles. He basically tried to like entice him by saying, like, how do you want to develop the role? I'll give you like an opportunity to kind of do what you want. And he hadn't heard back from him. And the director called him, and at that very same time, he was writing like the pros and cons of doing the film. And just the fact that he'd like reached out and gone to all that effort, Cranston was like, yeah, I'm going to do it. So it was really just doing all that extra hard yards to get him in. And then same with Christina Hendricks. So originally for her character, they tried auditioning porn stars for the role, because it's that kind of down and out type person, really. But he couldn't find anyone that was a good enough actor. And after meeting with her, he decided that like her powerhouse persona, as he said, would really click with the character. And like as we said, within 10 minutes of the 10 minutes she's in the film, she makes a hell of an impact. So yes, a couple more bits of trivia to go. So it was actually originally planned as a blockbuster, which, I don't think would have necessarily worked, but eventually was relabeled as an independent film. Many references to Taxi Driver in terms of the style, the character. There's one scene in Driver where he sits alone eating pie, which is the same thing that Travis Bickle did in Taxi Driver. And the director's claimed himself as like a really big fan of Martin Scorsese. So there's that. I obviously mentioned about the difference to the script. In the original script, there was a hitman that kills Irene, which kind of sends the driver into a rage. He ends up breaking into a house, killing the hitman, goes into Nino's beach house, kills all his bodyguards, and then drowns him. And then eventually the heavily wounded driver decides to leave LA in order to protect Irene's son, and Benicio ends up running off with Shannon, who looks after the kid instead. So Shannon lives in that version and Irene doesn't. Right. So that could have been a bit of a twist. But apparently the director did reportedly film a scene where the driver dies after Bernie stabs him, and was used during an early screen test but was not kept. So there you go. Decision. And then the final bit of trivia is the movie's tagline is "There are no clean getaways." What other very well-known film used that same tagline in
Mrs. Doubtfire
2007?
2007. There are no clean getaways. Transformers. No, I don't know.
It was No Country for Old Men.
Oh,
there you go. Couldn't pick a more different setting and film.
The tagline for that film should have been, "He's got a really bad haircut but a really cool gun."
Yes, that's much more impactful.
That's
nice.
Nige's trivia.
Nige's trivia. Beautifully done. So what do we think of Drive?
Rubbish. Joking.
Whoa, load of rubbish.
Who wants to kick this off? Shall I kick it off? I obviously recommended we do this film. I've got a weird relationship with this film, right from the off. When
does Felicity know about it?
When I first saw it, I didn't get on board with it, interestingly. So the first time I saw it, I remember the hype, and I was kind of like, watched it, and I was like, I don't know, there was something that left me very cold, you know? I didn't feel any kind of connection with the characters enough to kind of like get on board in that kind of that way, as cool as it looked, as amazing as the soundtrack is. And that's kind of how I always felt about it. So going back to watch it again was really interesting, because I wanted to know if I still felt like that.
Is this the second time you've watched it then?
I think it, I think it is. Yeah. And that was my impression of that film. I always thought it was kind of like, a style, you said it earlier, a style over substance sort of film. But I think that maybe I was wrong, or at least, you know, like I enjoyed it so much more this second time watching it, and there were so many more layers in it than I thought there was. I totally forgot about the kind of relationship between him and Carey Mulligan and how that develops. So yeah, positives of this film, I mean, we're all going to say this, but I think it has to be said. The style of the film is outstanding. The look, the feel, you know, I think Gosling, that was one of my other criticisms originally. I felt like many people, I was just like, oh man, Gosling's just, I don't know, I didn't get him, but I did get him this time. And I think like that underplayment of the kind of this actor, he's almost a bit like, you know, when we did The Killer,
Michael Fassbender
film, he's almost like that kind of nothing, and it that film didn't hit the mark for different reasons, but I think this film does. But yeah, I love the music. The soundtrack is amazing. I must admit, I don't, you know, some of the songs I can tell are composed, but because some of the compose is so good, it feels like it's just a band at times, and some of them are bands that are playing throughout. It's one of those soundtracks that you could probably listen to and just really enjoy. There is a point in this film, though, where I would say probably 3/4 of a way, I feel like story-wise, the plot kind of goes a bit off, and that did, I don't know, it kind of bugged me a little bit. I forgave it, but it just became like a little bit like, oh, now it's like him v the mob boss. You know, it kind of like almost a bit generic in that sense. Maybe the plot holes were, you know, I don't know. But what I would say really brings it back is one of the best endings of a film that I've seen in a long time, and I thought the ending was so well done, so beautifully well done, and Gosling acting in that. So yeah, I don't know, that feels like quite a mixed review, but actually overall I feel like I've changed my mind since last time. It probably would have been a 6 when I first watched it. I thought I was so cold by it. This time I really enjoyed it, so I've ramped it up to a 7.5, not quite an 8, but only because of that last part of it. Enjoyed a lot.
I feel like I have to go next now.
Go on. No, go next.
Because my review is basically copy and paste of Smith's. Like almost word for word. The only thing I would say is different is the first time I watched it, I quite liked Gosling's character, and I did this time, but everything else is exactly the same. When I first watched it, I'd have given it a 6 out of 10.
Interesting.
I genuinely cannot say anything else to kind of add to what you did. All the things I very much agree with. The fact that it kind of loses its way about, like you say, 2/3, 3/4 of the way through. Like the soundtrack, the style. I thought style over substance originally as well. But yeah, this time I went back and I was shocked at how much I enjoyed it, really. I think the kind of the acting quality is so strong in this film. Like you say, even for relatively small roles, there is caliber there. And you never really look at them as like, oh, it's that actor. I mean, you do a little bit Ron Perlman, because Ron Perlman's almost larger than life anyway. But everyone else, it's kind of like they are the character. And I think it works really well. And yeah, I didn't expect to like this film, really, that much at all. So yeah, very similar to Smith in terms of score. I've gone from a 6, but I've gone up to an 8. So I've gone a little bit higher. But yeah, like I don't want to just repeat everything you said, because it's pretty bang on. And I was for God's sake, Smith, steal my thunder a bit more. I don't know. I've got nothing original to say. So yeah, there you go.
Interesting though. Interesting. Ito, where are you? What did you think the first time?
I enjoyed it then. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed it. I would say, if anything, this time I appreciated it a lot more for, oh God, it's going to sound so wanky, but for its nuances. Because this film, as we've said, it does, as I said earlier, it does so much with so little at times. Like scenes with characters, especially like, you know, Gosling and Carey Mulligan, no words have to be said. It's beautiful. We know what's going on. And like, you know, with Cranston's character, he's a chatterbox, you know, so he fills in kind of the blanks kind of thing. And the gangsters, you know, could be considered somewhat atypical. It's like, oh yeah, the classic gangsters of like, oh, they're baddies and they do bad things. But yeah, I just feel that the characters are so well developed in this film. And I think I've got a better appreciation of this film because of this podcast, because we've done so many movies now and seen some of the best that Hollywood has to offer and seen some of the worst that Hollywood has to offer. I think, you know, I've always had an appreciation for film, but watching it this time, I was like, man, this is it's a real kind of masterclass in filmmaking. Like I said, I still can't believe it was done digitally. It just doesn't strike me as that kind of film at all. But as a fan of car chase movies and car movies, it is shocking how little driving there is in a film called The Driver. Or Drive, Drive. Sorry,
The Driver.
The Driver. Where did that come
where's The Driver from? I've not seen that. Wasn't that an old PlayStation 1 game?
I feel like it was. I think it was. I think that's
about a stuntman as well.
Yeah, I think I just picked up on that.
Who does Crime on the Side? I wonder where they got the idea for that book.
Yeah, for the book. Yeah, based on the classic PlayStation 1 game. No, it's for a film that is called Drive. There's so little. There's a lot less car chases or car activity than you'd expect. Do you know what I mean? It's like in the hands of another script or filmmaker, this would be like lots of car chases, lots of car action, and there is very little, to be honest. But again, what little there is done so incredibly well. And as you guys talked about before, it's usually from inside the car, and it brings like a different feel to the movie. But yeah, I think this movie's like it feels like a morality play at times. There's so much, every character, as we've said, like seems to have a backstory without us learning of it. Like we've said, Christine Hendricks barely in it. Some could say, oh, she's wasted, but it's like, yeah, but when she's on screen, that you can kind of get her character. And I think you can say that about every character in this movie. Like we don't know much about Standard's character. We know he got mixed up with some bad people, ended up in jail, but it's like, what's his story? And yet we feel that we know enough about him. And I think that's what this film does so well. It's not much is said, but so much is said, and the film uses silence to its advantage. Again, it's not style over substance. It's a perfect melding of style and substance. And I don't know about you guys, there's a real kind of melancholic feeling over the entire movie. It does feel, like I said before, when you get the moments of him and the driver and Irene becoming close, and you feel like this is blossoming into something, and then it all goes obviously wrong. But from that moment, it just feels there's a real element of like hopelessness. There's you just don't feel that there's going to be a happy ending for any of these characters. Yeah, I agree with you guys about the criticism. It does lose the plot slightly of what little plot there is. It does lose it towards the end slightly with the revelation of, well, it was our money and we were setting it up and did it. It's just like, really? So on that, I'll deduct a point. But yeah, I think I'm going to kind of side with Nige and give this a very strong 8 out of 10.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very similar scores there.
I thought he was going to go a bit bigger.
I thought you were.
I was tempted, but it's like it's not quite a 9. But it's definitely like worthy of an 8. I think.
It didn't crash, but it did. Drive.
What did you think about the Driver?
What did you think about?
Did you get stuck in first gear, or did you race past the finish line?
Yeah. Did you get stuck in traffic?
And did you gear shift 1 million times?
Email us on offradarpod@gmail.com. Tweet us at offradarpodcast. Let us know what you think about Drive or any of the other films we've done so far. Give us another film to watch. Come follow us on YouTube. Watch exclusive trailers, etc.
Shave off your eyebrows and come and accost us. Do that.
Please do. And we will speak to you next time.
We need your help. We are looking to grow Off Radar and release more and more high quality content. Please give us a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your pod. And why not share with your friends and loved ones?
Help me help you.